to the program. Bryan Acheampong has explained that his comments should be taken in a certain context. He's a political person addressing the political rally, and he needed to charge his base to tell them that they would win. And that was exactly what he did.
Okay, so Salam, good evening and good evening to you, your cherished listeners. First of all, Bryan Acheampong has obtained that dubious distinction, right, as a person who is prone to violence. Remember that when the Ayahuasca West violence happened during the election, the president set up a 3-member commission of inquiry chaired by Emil Short. That Emil Short commission of inquiry indicted him direct responsibility in the violence that took place in Ayahuasca. So this is a person who is noted for political violence. In fact, if you observe his political activity...
No, if I may just provide some context to that. I mean, the commission recommended that he be reprimanded for his ultimate responsibility, not because he had a direct hand in the violence that were occasioned during the Ayahuasca.
When you say somebody is ultimately responsible for violence, it is what it is.
But you could be ultimately responsible, but not have a direct connection. You know, because the buck stops with you. They will say you are ultimately responsible.
Are you saying that he's ultimately responsible, but he's not directly responsible? Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is that the fact that there was violence, of course, if there is violence in Ghana, if there is violence in any part of the country, if there is violence in any part of the country, to some extent, the president could be ultimately responsible for the general peace and security of the country. So that's ultimate responsibility. That's what I'm trying to put across.
There's what you call direct command responsibility for an event. The persons who chaired that commission, Emil Short, Patrick Acheampong, now Supreme Court Justice Henrietta Mensah Bonsu, are persons who understand the law possibly better than you and I by way of experience. They have evaluated all the circumstances and believe that he's ultimately responsible. But let me even make another instance. His first entry into our politics was to attempt contesting the Suhun NPP primaries. Go back and look at his sordid record with violence. Now, this is a man who repeatedly, not once, had made the point either about the NPP not handing over power or, as he pointed out in Sawam, that they would do everything. And he repeats, those who do not agree, he uses the word, they can go and bend the sea. I want to make the point that today, just a day or so after making that reckless, irresponsible statement, you have seen him equivocating. He's basically saying something, trying to water down exactly what he said. That is that tells you the personality that we are dealing with. Obviously split. And this is a person that you and I ought to be careful about. I have said earlier in the morning that Bryan Acheampong has once worked with the U.S. military. The U.S. embassy, for that matter, must begin to question and, as it were, monitor the conduct of Bryan Acheampong relative to the peace of this country. The United States of America has a lot of business interest and investment in this country. I strongly believe these reckless comments associated with Bryan Acheampong have the potential of undermining the peace of this country. And I want to urge the diplomatic community to begin to look at these comments. Beyond that, I strongly believe that the Peace Council, moral society in this country, must begin to look at the speech by Bryan Acheampong. I am not surprised though.
But his point really is that they are a political party. The only way they have known how to win power is to use a legal process. You win it and win it properly. So if it says that they will use whichever means, that should be looked at within the limits of how they have won elections in the past.
Salon. Salom, you cannot romanticize his speech. His speech is direct. He's not a toddler. Bryan doesn't come across as a good example, obviously even for his children. He speaks recklessly.
I think that's a bit too far, Edudzi. That's a bit too far to bring in his children and say he's not a good example to them.
Hold on.
I think that's a bit too far. So you may Edudzi. I mean, let's agree to disagree. That's actually a bit too far. I mean, you can make your point without drawing in all these people.
Salom, would you, say this in front of your children?
You're speaking to a political rally. I mean, it was speaking to a political rally.
Would you, would you mount a political rally and say the things Bryan is saying? Would you do that?
No, the point really is what I mean. Politicians, we know, and it's a problem we've been dealing with. That when you guys mount platforms, I mean, you say all manner of things, and here he is saying that perhaps he could have said it another way, but what he meant was what he just explained to us.
You see, Salom, that is the problem we have. When people speak recklessly, it can be me. You should have the courage to tell me, Edudzi, you never spoke well.
But that's what we just did. I mean, we pointed it out that the comments were quite reckless. Yeah.
So no. I am just putting it to you, right? That this is not the first time Bryan is speaking this way. You recall the NPP had a rally somewhere at Betifli or so. He repeated the same. So it is becoming one too many. And you cannot, with respect, use your esteemed platform, as it were, to try to water down the impact and describe it as campaign platform talk. No. What we should all understand, that the peace of Ghana is what we all cherish. If you listen to him carefully, he didn't say, we are going to win the votes of the people. He didn't say that. He said, we are going to win the election, whatever method. Even you. I listened to you carefully when you were interviewing him. You felt that the choice of words was not proper. Why are you trying to water down the impact? It is what it is. And that is what I am saying, that we must always remember that we have only one Ghana. There is no NPP Ghana. There is no NDC Ghana. The peace of this country is what we all cherish. At the end of the day, Salom, it is about all of us marketing our collective ideas. At the end of the day, the one with superior ideas gets to win the mandate of the people.
Very well.
Now, when you speak in the manner in which Bryan speaks, it suggests a sinister motive relative to winning an election. And that you should be concerned about. And that is why I am saying the international community, particularly the U.S. Embassy, the U.S. where he trained as a military officer, must begin to monitor his conduct, his comments relative to the upcoming election, particularly because of the strategic U.S. investment in this country. Anything untoward has the potential of undermining the peace and security. Bryan, I have always known, is a coward. When he attempted buying the underpriced hotels owned by Slim, just a threat from organized labor was enough for him to get him running away from the transaction. He should never, even in his wildest dream, try to undermine the collective will and intelligence of the people of this country. We may be quiet.
Very well.
We may be silent. But we should never take us for granted.
Very well. At all. Very well. Thank you so much, Edudzi Tamakloe, head of the NDC Legal Directorate, speaking to us or giving his reaction to Bryan Acheampong's comment.